Hey everybody, how's it going? Matthew Kadish here, author of the Earthman Jack Space Saga, available over on Amazon.com. And today we're going to be talking about John Wick. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my introduction to John Wick was a little bit rocky to begin with. Like when I first saw the trailer in the theaters, I was like, this looks like the dumbest movie I've ever seen. And I really didn't have any interest in seeing it. I kind of passed on it in theaters. But then a girl I was dating at the time was really into it, and she would tell me about it over and over again, and she kind of got me interested in seeing it, and so I eventually saw it on home video, and I loved it. It was a fantastic movie. It was a good action film, but the thing that really kind of sucked me in was that it had this mythology to it. It had all these characters and this entire kind of organization that, I guess I should say, this world that they built that had history to it. And it just made it so much more layered and interesting than your typical standard action movie. And I wasn't the only one who picked up on this. A lot of other people got really into John Wick. It became kind of a cult classic, a big favorite on streaming and home video, and it kind of blew up, basically. And it got a sequel, which was John Wick Chapter 2. And unfortunately, I didn't think the sequel was all that good. But recently, John Wick Chapter 3 came out, and Chapter 3 was amazing. It was just nonstop, wall-to-wall, amazing action scenes. It enriched the world. It, introduced new characters and kind of deepened the mythology and set up a great kind of base for the next movie. And it looks like the John Wick series, the John Wick franchise, by this point, is going to be continuing for quite some time. In fact, I think it was announced a while ago that the producers kind of have a James Bond idea in mind where they just keep going with the franchise. And should Keanu Reeves ever decide to retire from the role, they'll just replace him with a new John Wick, much like James Bond. But the whole interesting thing about John Wick is this world that he exists in, that the character exists in, and that everything kind of stems from. You have like the Continental Hotel, you have the High Council, you have all these aspects of this criminal underworld that has its very strict rules and its hierarchy and all this other interesting stuff. And a while back, they announced that they were going to do a TV show to kind of expand upon this mythology that the movies created, and it was going to be based around the Continental Hotel, and it was going to be a STARZ original series. Now, after John Wick, this was around the time John Wick Chapter 2 came out, and after that movie came out, even though it was considered a hit, STARZ was taking a really long time to develop it. And recently, STARZ kind of shifted their strategy in terms of how they do original programming to something called the premium female strategy. And so they want to make more movies that kind of hook in female viewers as opposed to male viewers. And the best example of this is probably the TV show Outlander, where basically STARZ is like, well, we want to hook in these, this female audience who force their husbands and boyfriends and, male friends to watch these shows with them because we found that they're the most loyal and the ones who stay subscribed the longest, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of like a shift in focus for STARZ away towards a specific demographic that not a lot of the other kind of premium cable networks are targeting. And because of that, they've canceled a lot of in development shows and current shows that don't really cater to that demographic. And so a lot of people were wondering where that left the John Wick series, because John Wick, you don't get more testosterone filled than these types of action movies. And the good news is that STARZ kind of came out publicly and said, hey, we're still going to be producing the John Wick TV show. We think that it, in addition to it being very attractive to the male audience, we feel that our premium female strategy actually fits with this show. And so they're going to continue with it. However, the one caveat is that it's still going to be a very long development process. and they actually don't plan on having the show ready for prime time before the release of the fourth John Wick film. Now, the interesting thing about this is that, yes, it's been confirmed that we're getting a fourth John Wick film, but in addition to that, the fourth film could possibly lead into the TV series. So I've got an article that I want to show you guys from GameSpot over here. And basically the title is John Wick TV show still in development, will be a prequel. And this is by Dan Audie over on GameSpot. And so it is confirmed that the TV show, which is going to be based around the Hotel Continental, is going to take place before the John Wick movies. We've known for quite some time that the John Wick action movie franchise will be getting a spin-off TV series. Development on the John Wick TV show was first reported back in 2017, but it's been well over a year since there was any further news about the show, titled The Continental. However, following the recent box office success of the third movie in the action series, it seems that the project is still moving forward, but it likely won't be released until we get at least one more Wick film. The Continental is being made by STARZ, and CEO Jeffrey Hirsch recently commented on its progress at the Television Critics Association tour. Hirsch revealed that the series will be set before the movies and would explore the origins of the titular hotel chain. He also stated it would be unlikely to appear before John Wick Chapter 4, which is scheduled for a 2021 release. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the John Wick movies, there's a series of hotels across the world called Continentals. And they're basically like neutral ground for this criminal underworld that John Wick kind of works in. And basically, the hotels are sanctuaries for these ne'er-do-well assassins and stuff like that, where they can go, they can be safe. There's no violence on hotel grounds. They get certain amenities like access to weapons and body armor and medical care and stuff like that. And so this is part of the tapestry of the mythology of the John Wick movie franchise. And so it looks like the TV series is going to focus on the creation of these, which means that we may even get to learn more about the High Council and what the hierarchy of this assassin underworld is like. And we may even get to see a quote-unquote young Winston, who is kind of John Wick's mentor and friend and who runs the Continental Hotel in the movies, played by actor Ian McShane. No word on whether Ian McShane will be coming back for this TV show, although he has appeared in American Gods, which was another STARZ original series, so it's not beneath him to show up for this. But we'll see. We may also get Lance Reddick reprising his role as the concierge for the New York Continental. But we have very little news on the casting at this time. In fact, we're going to talk about in this article about whether or not Keanu Reeves is going to be in the show at all. So Jeffrey Hirsch goes on to say, "My sense is that where we are today, the movie date has been set, but we're in an early development on the series, so it will air most likely after the film," he said via Deadline. The other big question is whether Keanu Reeves, who plays Wick in the movies, will appear in the Continental, as was initially rumored. Unfortunately, Hirsch couldn't commit to this. "That's a really good question that I'm not going to answer. No answer is as good a tease as you're going to get," he said. "It's a great franchise. We're excited about bringing that show to the network." John Wick Chapter 4 hits theaters on May 21st, 2021, which is about summer, 2 years away as of this recording. In keeping with the theme of the movie, the date was announced via a text message to fans and media a few days after John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum hit theaters. Parabellum has grossed nearly $319 million at the U.S. box office, which is crazy because the budget wasn't all that high. Almost double what John Wick Chapter 2 made in 2017. So Chapter 3 was a huge success. I think Chapter 3 was made for a budget of around $50 million. Don't quote me on that. But if that's the case, a $319 million gross at the U.S. domestic box office is gigantic. It's very successful hit for Lionsgate. it makes sense that, you know, the fourth movie is already in the bag. But the fact is that we're not going to get the movie for at least 2 more years, summer of 2021. And the TV show is not going to come out before that. So that means that we've got about 3, possibly even 4 more years until the Continental hits. So let's hope that John Wick is still going strong by that time. Now, the question about having Keanu Reeves coming back is an interesting one, because there is this whole backstory of how John Wick was the boogeyman. He was like the greatest assassin in this criminal underworld. And then he gets out of it in order to go off and, you know, retire and marry this woman that he fell in love with. And that was kind of the setup for the whole first movie. And that would probably be an interesting through line for the TV series to kind of explore. But, I think the beauty of this is that the show could leave John Wick completely out of it, or at least make reference to him and never actually have to show him. But Keanu Reeves has shown willingness to kind of go above and beyond certain things if he has a passion for the project. Like he came back for a third Bill and Ted movie, which just wrapped shooting. He's doing video games because, he's appearing as a character in Cyberpunk 2077 simply because he finds the project interesting and he wanted to be a part of it. And we all know that he's got a real passion for the character of John Wick and the franchise. So it's a good bet that he could very well be involved in the series in some way, shape, or form, maybe coming in to do like certain cameo appearances. Kind of like how Bradley Cooper did the same thing with his Limitless TV series, where he played the character that he played in the Limitless movie. And he'd show up occasionally on the TV show as that character, just to kind of move the story along. So that's always a possibility. But I would probably be willing to put money on the fact that we'd see Ian McShane and a few other people from the movies kind of show up in the TV series. We've got that to look forward to. And I'd probably be willing to bet that we'd see Keanu Reeves pop up in a few choice moments in the show, should it ever get off the ground. Now, a lot can happen between now and 2022, 2023. But it looks like STARZ is pretty committed to getting this series going. And because it's tied to a super successful movie franchise, they don't got a lot to lose by going after it. And not only that, but the fact that we have these streaming wars heating up, and a lot of these, premium channels and streaming networks are looking for original content to offer to potential subscribers, means that we're probably definitely going to get this show. It's just a question of when. But I'm excited about this. I'm looking forward. I'm a big John Wick fan. I'm looking forward to what this show can do to the mythology and how it can expand the world. And STARZ original series, by and large, are pretty high quality. They're very well written. They're very well produced. And I don't think I've found one that I've really greatly disliked all that much. So I think the franchise is in good hands with STARZ as long as they stay true to the source material. And it could be an interesting launch to go from John Wick Chapter 4 right into the TV show. So we'll see how that plays out. What do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts on John Wick. Are you a fan? Do you think that the Continental is going to be any good? Is Keanu Reeves going to return in the TV show as the character of John Wick? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, and follow for more movie, TV, and entertainment news. This is Matthew Kadish. I'll catch you in the next video.